Hey guys, what's up? Fur Daddy here. Today I'm coming at you with a different kind of video. It's going to be a little bit more conversational, kind of like, I don't want to say a rant style video, but I'm just going to be going over some rising concerns that I've had about the state of Final Fantasy, some somewhat like alarming thoughts that I had post live letter, and just sort of get off my chest some stuff I've been thinking about the game for a while, particularly in the ways that it affects my content and the kind of videos that I can make. So this video is broken up into chapters, but it's just like vague bullet points, so feel free to skip through, feel free to just sit back and listen. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I'm experimenting with different video styles, so if you do like this kind of video, let me know down below, and also let me know about like the thoughts that you have about what I'm talking about. I want to hear from you guys as well. Okay, so the main point that I'm going to talk about in this video, and the thing that I want to get across, is the idea that if Final Fantasy as a game doesn't address the increase in players and increase in demand for certain types of content and the new types of players that are playing, it's just going to revert to its player count and the state that it was in before Endwalker. I think that Endwalker and right before was a great thing that came for Final Fantasy. Like, I think it's really good that we got this huge burst of players and there was a lot more attention and money put into the MMO. But I think it's important that Square Enix responds to that by creating more content that appeals to more people. And I'll get into this a little more later into the video. But I'm just going to go over some notes that I gathered on Twitch and some frustrations that I had. So to just go over my opinion about the last live letter, to be perfectly honest, I was really disappointed. I was hoping we would see a lot more and a more clear roadmap of what the expansion has to tell for us. We really didn't get that in the past two live letters. We've just gotten like just seemingly unrelated updates about disconnected things. So I was hoping we would see some more stuff about the Island Sanctuary, which we didn't. I was hoping we would see more about female Hrothgar as well. Just the stuff that they've talked about. I thought we would see some more updates and some more new information as well. But instead, what we got was just some really, I mean, the PvP stuff is great. I guess I should probably talk about what I think is like positive about this first. I think the PvP changes are welcome and really good, and I do think that almost everything they announce in the live letter is a good thing. So I'm not saying like I don't want that content, but I'm just going to sort of express my feelings towards what I think this reflects on the game as a whole. So the stuff that they announced was basically par for the course for a 0.1 patch. So it's the same amount of content that we got for 5.1 for 4.1 sans the PvP changes. So why that's a little bit disappointing to me is because, you know, Final Fantasy's had this huge increase in players. They also leaned on the fact that there's constantly like excuses about the development time, like, oh, Stormblood had a weird development because they thought it was going to be the last expansion, stuff like that, right? And we're like kind of past all that, right? Like, we have the game in this great state. They've really hyped up the fact that the Hydaelyn and Zodiark story would be coming to an end, and we would get this great new thing. And what we got just felt really flaccid to me. I don't know if anybody feels the same way about that, but to me, the new stuff that was announced, it seems like it'll be good, and I'm sure the story will be well written. The MSQ will be nice. The side content will be funny in Hildebrand's story or whatever. I'm excited for that. I'm disappointed to see that there isn't bigger changes coming to the way that we play the game, and more specifically, the things that we have to do in the game. So, like, to give context, right? Like, I have been playing Final Fantasy now since 5.3, and when I first started playing Final Fantasy, I was able to go and just do like all kinds of content, right? I was able to play through several expansions of side content. I was able to go through Eureka, and I've made videos like basically going over everything that I've done. You know, I did all the beast tribes, I did all the custom deliveries, I did like everything basically. The only thing that I haven't done is level all my jobs. And now that I have finished that content, I am kind of realizing exactly how slow the content is released in Final Fantasy. And although that was always the case, and that's nothing new, I'm still left a little disappointed about that fact. You know, like, I have to make a video, and I make a video once a week, right? And I'm thinking like, well, what am I gonna make a video about next, right? Like, there is basically nothing for me to do when I log on. I have a static, which is already a better situation than a lot of other people are in. We can raid 3 times a week for a few hours, and I feel like that's like a pretty active raiding group. But even then, that doesn't scratch the surface of the content that I want. Like, I would like to play Final Fantasy as like a mono game, you know, it's an MMO, and I feel like a lot of an appeal for an MMO comes from the feeling of character progression, and it always feels really good to be able to log on and really feel your achievements and be able to work towards a more advanced character. But Final Fantasy XIV doesn't seem to have that same feeling. I'm gonna go over a few more bullet points here, see if I can get this back on track. But I just kind of wanted to go over my general sentiment, and that isn't, you know, like I said, the amount of content hasn't changed from the previous expansion, so it's not like I'm complaining that Endwalker is getting less. I'm sure it's getting more, really, but it's just the kind of content that we're getting. So, you know, maybe I'll make this a little more personal. We have friends that play Final Fantasy, and I have friends that I've gotten through the main scenario in Final Fantasy, and like we all kind of got in the Shadowbringers hype and have leveled through the main scenario. Maybe this is a situation that you guys can relate to. Leveled through the main scenario, got through Endwalker. It was kind of like hitting 80. A lot of my friends were hitting 80 right around when Endwalker was coming out. So, play through Endwalker. But in my situation, as somebody who joined in 5.3, by the time that Endwalker had came out, I had gotten really into playing the game every day, really into tackling all the content. I would log on and I'd like do Eureka, and it's like, oh, you know, a few more days and I'll get to the next zone of Eureka, and then I do Boja, and then I would do like some Palace of the Dead or Heaven on High, and then it's like, oh, I can do my crafters, yada yada yada, and I would go and do all this stuff. But now I do all my beast tribes, but now there's literally no reason to log on. There isn't any content to do, there isn't anything. And while that's nothing new for MMOs, something that I've noticed about other MMOs like World of Warcraft and Lost Ark and stuff like that, which all have their own problems, don't get me wrong, is that they do a lot more to incentivize people to log on. And I can see the comments now, right? Like, Yoshi P encourages people to not play the game during content, yada yada yada. And while I think that is reasonable, and I think that's fair, at the same time, I feel like that hurts the community of an MMO. You just have this like so in our Discord, and our Discord has, you know, like 2,000 people in it. In our Discord server, there is a huge amount of people who just quit between patches, and that hurts the community of the game. For somebody like myself who really enjoys playing MMOs and wants to log on and do stuff every day, the game feels dead. And I'm not being like dramatic. I know the game isn't actually dead, but it feels that way. You go to Old Charlian and it's empty, and then you're sitting there yourself and you're like, I'm gonna queue, but the queues are so long for everything. And the life that was in when the expansion first launched doesn't really seem to be present the same way. And I feel like that was fine, like whatever, the next patch will really revitalize that. But then when they announce the content that's coming, it just doesn't seem like that big oomph that we would get. It really seemed like Final Fantasy was in a perfect position to capitalize on the fact that its main story was coming to an end and it was starting a new story, and the new influx of players are all really hyped about the game to really do something bold and new. And I just can't help but feel a little bit disappointed about the stuff we actually saw and the direction that it seems to be going. You know, like we got pitched this story, oh, it's going to be this grand new adventure. You're going to start this big new adventure. But instead what we got was just more of the same. It's the same thing we got with 5.1. It's the same thing we got with 4.1. So when they say that they were trying to make you feel like you were going on an adventure, I don't know if they mean like just the story is going to seem like that, like your character is literally going to be going on a new adventure. But the way they pitched it and the way it really felt like was that we would be getting a new way to play the game. Like it would be a bit of a paradigm shift. They really talked about it that way. That's how we saw it in the live letters, the trailers, and everything like that. And then this new trailer was just like, meh. Now, I'm hoping, like my copium that I'm huffing right now, you know, is that this is just because they're doing big systems changes with PvP. And 6.2 will have a lot more stuff, but I just can't help but think that's not the case, and we won't know for 4 months anyways. Maybe they're delaying the release of these new patches to add more content. I don't know what, but I just really want to see that change in the future. So next I want to talk about some more specific things that I feel like are part of the problem. I want to mention something when I was talking about this on Twitch that a lot of people talked about, which is just that, like, there's such a focus on the new content being released around the raid series, the progression, and things like that, that we're neglecting a big part of the Final Fantasy community. You know, I know that a lot of the people who watch this channel are into crafting and money making and stuff like that, and just more casual content. And the game lacks a serious amount of just like fun things to do. Something that makes an MMO feel really impactful and makes your character's achievements feel good is being able to go to, like, oh, I just unlocked all this crazy stuff. Now I can go to the let's say like the souped up gold saucer, and it's like this big bustling area, and everybody can see my cool hat that I got. But when you finally clear P4S and you get your big hammer for warrior, there's nobody there to see it. And I feel like a big part of MMOs is not like the external validation, but the idea of a character progressing. And if there's nobody around to see it, you might as well just be playing an RPG. And when I hear the development teams say that they want to focus more on the RPG aspect of the game, I can't help but feel a little bit worried about the health of the community. When I see people leaving the game, moving on to only come back when there's a new patch, that raises the amount of content they're going to have to actually put in that patch by a lot to bring those people back in. You know, all these people joined for Endwalker and then stopped after Endwalker. They're expecting a huge amount of content to come in 6.1, which, as somebody who's played through, 5.4 and 5.5, I know that they're not going to see that. And I was really hoping that they would respond with that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know that Final Fantasy can do better, and I know that it can do a lot of things better. I know it can provide a better gameplay experience for people, and I know that they can address player concerns a lot better. That's the next thing I want to talk about in this video, is sort of just player concerns, and this is where I'm going to talk about the Hrothgar hair as well, just in general. So something that really got on my nerves, and like, I just want to be clear, I'm not pissed off about hair, right? I'm not upset about the hair. I don't really care. But the fact is, I have to mod my game to make the hats appear on Hrothgar. I have to mod my game to make the hair look better, things like that, right? And just to be able to express my character. Now, put yourself in this situation if you don't play Hrothgar, right? You just finished the Masked Carnival. You've gotten your new set of gear, which was released in Shadowbringers, by the way, and you try to put on the hat, it doesn't fit. You just finished your artifact weapon in Endwalker. You can't put on the hat. That is really disappointing. Like, it sucks, especially when this is new gear that's being designed. That is something that they need to address, and they need to approach in the future. There is no good reason that this is the case. There is absolutely zero good reason. People say that, oh, well, Square Enix has a higher standard of quality for the items they release, but that's not true. Like, they have clipping and they have all these same issues now. This is another thing that really upsets me that I would like to talk about, is the fact that they constantly re-release gear. We don't get new gear sets. We don't get anything like that. I mean, the amount of people in my chat who didn't know about this is crazy, but there is only 2 new gear sets with 6.0 in Endwalker. There was the Garlemald gear, and there was the Vanaspati gear. And those were the only sets that were new. And other than that, they were all reskins. I'm going to show on screen some of these gear sets compared, but some ones to note is that the classical set for all the jobs, the crafted gear that got released, is just a reskin of the set that we saw for PvP. And I'll show that now. Sometimes the PvP set even looks better. I don't understand why, if we only get 5 dungeons in expansion, we don't get new gear. It's crazy to me how much stuff is reused and retooled for Final Fantasy. Like, I know that a lot of people in the community say you're not grateful for what you get, blah blah blah, but I think that's a load of bull. I have expectations for this game because I want to see it do well. As somebody who plays this game every day, as a content creator, I want to see this game do well. And I know that that's upsetting. It's upsetting to go into the Tower of Zot and like it's the first dungeon of the expansion, and you see the gear and it's like, it's Bone Wicca, but it's purple. Like, don't you want to see what that corrupted, what that gear looks like, right? Like, the story is told through those things. What is the point of having a character whose gear changes when you wear it if it's just going to be the same sets of gear? If it's just going to be, oh, you get Bone Wicca from here, right? Get it? It's like similar to this other place. Oh, you're in Catesis? Oh, well, did you do Hero's Gauntlet literally in Shadowbringers? Oh, well, in that case, you already have that gear. It's ridiculous. The game is prioritizing the wrong stuff, in my opinion. I would like to see more. I don't want to see less effort put anywhere necessarily. Like, I think that the main scenario is really good. I think that all the content they're releasing is really good, which is why this is so upsetting to me. It's glaring flaws, and it sucks, right? Like, it sucks that people are having to mod in Hrothgar hats and hair. It's messed up that the hair that they announced looks awful. It's messed up that they cut off our ears. It's messed up that they said that the reason why they couldn't release Hrothgar hair for so long was because they had to design new hair, and then what we got was like the lamest old hair there was. So that was a lie. I'm just sick of empty promises from the Final Fantasy dev team. And I know that seems harsh, but when you play a game like this, when you've come from playing other MMOs, especially if you're somebody who came from World of Warcraft, it's easy to see this studio through rose-colored glasses, but that's exactly how people saw Blizzard. That's exactly how people see the studios of the games that they love, and I think it's important that we speak up and hold them accountable. Now, I come from playing RuneScape, and if you guys know anything about RuneScape, you guys will know that the community pitches a fit about pretty much everything. But to the old school team's credit, they respond to their community. I think that people have been complaining about certain things in Final Fantasy for years. And like the Hrothgar situation, but there is a number of things. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm going to put some on screen right now. I'm going to ask my friends about it and stuff like that, and I'll just put up a list. So right now you'll see scrolling things that people have been wanting for years and have not gotten yet, and have just been promised or ignored. So I guess this is my open letter from somebody who really loves this game and loves the content that is in the game to use the new attention, the money, everything that we have to make this a better game for everybody. This isn't the normal style of video that I make, and if this is like really weird to you, you can let me know down below if you guys say like I hate this negative style of video or whatever. This is just something I've been thinking about for a while, and yeah. The last thing I want to talk about is how this relates to my content. If you've watched this far in the video, thanks for watching, thanks for hearing me out. I just want to know from you guys what kind of content you want to see, because this is another thing that's frustrating as a content creator. You know, I want to make better videos and more videos for you guys, but if my content is based on the game, I have to start thinking outside of the box if this is where we're going to be, you know? So if you guys want to see different things, let me know, and I'm going to start thinking of new series and new things we can do. That's why there's no guide this week. I've covered it all. If you want a guide for something, let me know and I'll make it. But you know, yeah. So if this kind of video striked your fancy, let me know down below. Just let me know if you disagreed with me. I'll try to respond to some comments. This is obviously like something I feel complicated emotions about. I love this game, and I want to make that really clear. I really love Final Fantasy, and as somebody who's played a lot of MMOs, I love those MMOs way less. You know, Final Fantasy does so much stuff better. It does its combat better, it does its gameplay, its graphics. I mean, everything's great about this game. Its community is so good, but these are just like creeping little thoughts that have built up over time of playing this game, and I felt like I had to get them out. If this is something that you agree with, you know, I just want to know that other people agree or disagree, or you think I'm crazy or whatever. But yeah, this video is getting a little long, so I'll cut this off here. If you guys want to hear more styles of videos like this, like opinion pieces from me, let me know and I'll make them in the future. Other than that, thank you guys for checking out this video, and I will see you guys later.